You're listening to the Sonic Ninjas podcast. Follow us on Instagram at the Sonic Ninjas and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Sonic Ninjas.
Bradley Dean, how are you, buddy?
What's going on? How's it going today, Eddie?
Good.
Down to the wire
again.
Down to the wire again. It never fails. We've been sitting here for an hour, and then all of a sudden, it won't let me go live.
Yeah, what's going on? Like Facebook keep changing to settings, and it's like, don't do that to us, dude.
See, I have nothing to do with it. I just show up.
We're gonna have to do like line check and like really like have a schedule. You know?
Really?
I know. We don't want that. No,
2 line checks then.
We might have to do that. How you been, man? Good?
I'm good, yeah. I'm hanging in there. Taking advantage of the time at home. Keeping busy. Yeah. How about you?
That's good. Same. I'm actually pretty excited because I just got this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I don't know if you can see it.
I can, yes.
That's Leland Sklar, amazing bass player. I just got his book.
Yeah, how many tens of thousands of songs did he play? Like 30-some thousand?
He's I've been a fan of his forever, but he's an amazing musician. It says here 30,000 songs spread over 2,600 albums. How crazy is that?
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's incredible. And we have he knows so many people, but I've been a fan of his when he was playing with Phil Collins, and I'm just like, he's great. And we have a couple friends in common, of course, because this is a small community at the end of the day. But I was very excited to get it. Literally just arrived, so I'm excited to go through it. It's literally just photos of people giving him the finger.
That's wild.
Everything.
Just photos.
It's just photos, but there's like thousands of photos.
There's
from fans to music.
Not one bit of anything to read, just photos.
At the beginning, the introduction, that's it, and it's just photos. But it's pretty cool, and I just got it, so I'm probably going to start going very slowly and going through it. But it's pretty cool. That's awesome. It's a new,
That's different.
It's very different, but it's exciting because he's got tons of people in the industry, from famous artists all the way to people in the crew, catering people, studio musicians and engineers. It's like everybody.
It's his life.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So that part is pretty exciting. What have you been up to, man?
I've been actually trying out a couple things here in my studio. I got
the
SSL UF8 that I'm experimenting with, trying it out.
Uh-huh.
I got a pair of Royer R121 mics in here and the Royer D Booster, which I'm actually using on the SM7.
Nice.
To boost the gain. And then I just got a Rupert Neves Stereo DI yesterday to try out.
You haven't used it yet, I'm guessing.
I tried it out yesterday, actually. I used it in conjunction with the Doug Pinnick bass pedal.
Uh-huh.
So I had all the grit and grind of that mixed with the really clean, deep, almost 3D sounding, like clean DI. It sounds really good. And the combo was awesome. Killer. So I'm pretty excited about that. I can't wait to hear
what you're doing with it.
Yeah, Jimmy's coming over. We're going to work on another track. So we're going to be doing something.
Well, you sent me some mixes to listen to, and they were great, man. One of them had that sort of 80s rock vibe, which, of course, people who know me know that's right up my alley. But it just sounded really good, man.
That was a band, Everrise. My friend Bob Perry's in that band. Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, so I got a couple tunes to mix for them, and I'm staying busy.
That's good. Same here. I'm doing some stuff in the studio, and actually, since we had to learn all this stuff during the pandemic. Now I'm also setting up our church with a bunch of video cameras and video switchers and this and that, and learning more about that world, which is a whole other planet for me. So I'll be staying busy doing that. We got some show with Gwen coming up, and And yeah, man, just
You'll be-
doing our thing as we always do.
You'll be doing video soon.
Yeah, before I know it, I'll be calling Jorge. Hey, Jorge. You did another
Hey, Jorge,
video guy.
I got these 5 robotic cameras. Can you make use of them? We could put these somewhere.
I got these
fly 'em
cameras.
around.
Yeah, we could use them. I can control them with a joystick. I know I can do it.
And mix monitors.
You know, and mix monitors at the same time.
I can do both.
And
I know you
I'll
can.
play a shaker. I've done that before. It's not the best thing to do, but
Shaker is not an easy thing to play.
not steadily. No.
No, it's not. You might be able to get it for like couple like
bars.
a measure. Yeah, and then that's it.
And
And
then
you fall off.
cut it, loop it. You know.
Yep.
Yeah, that's definitely an art form. I've seen percussionists. Actually, I have a few friends that are percussionists, and they just when they do it, is you see their hand. It's like a machine, dude, but it still has feel. And when you're listening to it in the control room, it's almost like it's already been edited or something. They just know exactly that they have that precision. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's what what they do. But
I could shake that thing for like 3 minutes, and then you'll find one measure that's good if you're lucky.
Exactly. Yeah, same here. Same here. That's we get to use our technology to fix all that stuff.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
But I want to take advantage and say hi to everybody who's joining us. You know, we have a few people here already.
I don't see anybody. But why am I? What am I looking
I
at?
see the messages on the side.
Yeah, I can't.
There's a few messages that are popping up, and we have a few people watching. So thank you guys for joining us. Dude, something pretty exciting. Of course, this is very a little moment of vanity, I guess, that our tour was featured on the one of the editions, or the last edition, or the February edition, wasn't it?
Yes.
Because March just came out. Yeah, so of
I think it was
Live Sound
February.
International.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it was
so
actually
that was
the
pretty
last,
cool.
and it was the last printed version.
It was
as
the last
well.
printed version, and you actually personally you made the cover, which is pretty exciting. But the tour itself made the cover, of course, on the article and stuff. So that was pretty cool on the last printed copy. So
Didn't you take that picture?
I took that picture too.
You didn't get any photo credit, though, did you?
No, they forgot to credit me for it. No big deal. But yeah, so it's funny. That's the last printed version, and we made it on there. It was pretty exciting to be part of that. That was a pretty big tour, and we got to share the stage with the Ricky Martin family, which they're all great people. Hi, Cesar, Jorge, Eduardo, everybody on their team. Hope you guys doing well. And yeah, man, so that was a pretty cool thing to be part of,
Yes, it was. Definitely. When you read back through the article and you look at the pictures and everything, you're like, wow, you see some of those pictures of the arena with the PA hanging, and it was a monster PA.
It was.
In that room. So good.
And the crew that works there, day in, day out, I mean, they work their asses off, and it's a lot of work to put that stuff together. It takes hours and hours for just a 2-3 hour show, and then it all has to go back in the truck, and they just work endlessly. One of the things is funny because it's exciting to talk about all the good things that are happening usually throughout the tour, and any sort of recognition that we may get or the crew might get and stuff. But a lot of the stuff sometimes comes at a price. Like we spend a lot of long hours or traveling, or whether it's flying or on the bus, and that causes a lot of things, a lot of negative things to your mind and your body, and all these things that a lot of people, we also, especially me, we tend to leave aside. We try not to worry about that kind of stuff. But
right.
I actually had someone, I think I wrote it here, someone was direct messaging me and asking me about that kind of stuff. Like, it wasn't even a question about audio, and it was, how do we deal with the stress or the traveling. For some people it's hard to even travel. Some people don't even like to travel, across the country, let alone the we do 16-hour flights or whatever, and then what turns out to be a 30-hour long day of traveling by the time you connecting flights and everything.
Yep.
Leave your house. So all those things come into play. So they were basically asking me, how do you deal with that kind of stuff, or what are the elements that you have to watch out for that we can probably share with everybody out there on what what are the things we go through as a crew member.
Yeah, because you could look at what we do and you could say, oh man, it's so glamorous, it must be awesome. Well, yeah, the 2-hour show is awesome and it's the best thing ever. But what do you do for the other 22 hours of the day? How do you maintain just the energy level to get through the day, to get to that point where, okay, now it's showtime. And maybe you're already exhausted from, certain things in the day that, that you stressed out about or worried about it. And now you have to get yourself up for the show. Because that's really that's the only thing that matters.
Yeah.
When that room's full and the audience is in there, that's the only thing that anybody cares about. The show has to happen.
Yeah, and that's the moment where we actually, in our position of being the mixers, that's the moment where we're actually doing what we got hired to do, where we have to not miss a cue, and that adds all that pressure, or something's happening that we didn't anticipate, some kind of glitch on something, or a mechanical error, like a cable goes bad or something. Then we have to deal with that all in the middle of the show. And without causing any stress to the artist either, or to anybody on stage.
And you have to deal with it and then just put it out of your mind. Yeah. Because it's happened, you dealt with it, and now you have to move on from that.
Yeah.
And that's easier said than done sometimes.
It is, because we tend to internalize it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or you might still be dwelling on it. Oh man, something just failed. And what if it fails again? Well, what if it does? Then we'll deal with it. But in the meanwhile, you're mixing the show and there's 15,000 people screaming and you're waiting for something to happen. And I mean, your heart's going, and there's a lot to deal with, even in that moment. Never mind all the other stuff that happened from the moment you woke up on the bus, whether you were in a parking lot or you woke up at the hotel. You woke up at the hotel and you're getting picked up and now we're going to go to the gig, or you woke up in the parking lot. Now I need to get my shit together and I'm going to go inside and find a shower, and there's lots.
Yeah. I mean, even that in itself, it's like, just being in a bus, that's already not in your comfort zone. Like we're already in a bunk, those kind of things, for a little while it's fine, but when you're touring for long periods of time, it takes a toll on you, And when we're talking about this, we're not talking to complain about what comes with the work. We're mostly sharing this because, like you're saying, most people think it's just a glamorous life that everybody lives by traveling and doing this. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's tedious, and we may not even notice it. And you start getting fatigue, or you start feeling ill or whatever because of the time you spend on the bus, or the time you're traveling, and you don't have time to properly eat, or you don't have time to take a walk, or you don't have time to do all these things, and lack of sleep will get to you, for sure,
Exactly. And having gone through open heart surgery last year, and then doing some of the research that I did and reading some of the books that my wife gave me to read, made me realize that it's what goes on inside your body has so much to do with stress. It's a combination of diet and exercise and sleep and all that. But the stress factor and how that relates to any and all the illnesses and ailments that can happen inside your body, there's a direct correlation to that. Which brings this up, which is a really good read for something like this. This is actually where I started to realize maybe stress played a big part in what happened to me, because everybody's like, oh, you're thin and your diet was always good. And, yeah, I'd like to think that, but something happened. So I would highly recommend this book and anything that this guy writes. Gabor Mate, incredible author and just a brilliant mind. And to listen to him talk about, life and the human element, there's a lot you can take from that.
Yeah. I mean, listen, in the position that I'm in, I mean, I guess in many of the positions in a crew or for a determined production, but doing monitors, sometimes it could be very stressful, dealing with, high profile artists or musicians or whatever, dealing with different personalities. I personally never, for years, I'm talking years and years, I've been doing it for a long time as well. And I'm always the type of person who is very calm and collected, and I don't stress about anything, especially in front of my artists, or especially in the heat of the moment. Something could be happening, and I'll stay calm. Otherwise you can't sort things out. You can't fix it, right? But it is true that at some point in our life, we've been internalizing so many things that all of a sudden it starts manifesting itself in other ways. That stress that I thought, I don't stress out about anything. Well, all of a sudden, life catches up to you. Yeah.
All of a sudden you go to catering and the bacon's not crispy and you lose your mind.
All of a sudden I go to catering, it's like, how come this bacon is not crispy enough? Yeah, it's the little things that all of a sudden start lighting you up.
Yes.
It's funny and we joke about it, but it does. At the end of the day, we're human and we start reacting to things, and we're reacting to things that have been accumulating there possibly for years.
Yeah. It's not that thing that happened at that moment that made you snap. It's everything that led up to that moment.
It's everything that led up to that moment. Most of the time, of course, there are exceptions, but
of course,
but usually that's the case. You're right. It's an accumulation of things, and how do we deal with that? Like, I always get advice from different people who are very into, mental health and things like that, which used to be left completely in the back burner. No one ever wanted to talk about that kind of stuff. It was always a subject of being embarrassed about or ashamed of it. But I don't think there's anything to be ashamed of. I mean, if you feel the way you feel, that's the same way we take care of our bodies, we have to learn to take care of our minds as well. And we just try to do things little by little. It's hard to change your habits. I'm not gonna lie, it's hard for me. But like for you, what are the things that you what are something that you might do while you're on the road to help you alleviate the stress, or try to have a mellower day, or try to have, or anything that you might recommend to people, or something that you do normally?
Well, I mean, I get we have two different days. We have a day off in a hotel room, and then we have the show day.
Yeah.
I find myself trying to be in a quiet place. If I'm in a hotel room, I can't remember the last time I turned a TV on in the hotel room. I don't watch the news. I just don't turn it on. And if I have a book, I can sit and read a book. I can just listen to some music or whatever and just try to relax and try not to think about, the night before or what's going to happen the next day. Just try to be in the moment. Yeah. And if we're on the bus or, it's a show day, I mean, I kind of try to do the same thing. I will find myself venturing into the venue from time to time to check on how things are coming along, because I know at some point it's going to be my turn to do my thing. But I don't try to sit in there the entire time and just watch everything as it goes on, because even that can just play on you, because now you're looking at the time and you're like, oh man, it's a slow day. And how much time am I going to have to listen to the PA, and how much time we're going to have for line check, whatever. I'll just sit outside the building, sit in the bus, maybe do some reading, or, we'll just sit in there and shoot the breeze about whatever. Maybe we've got some projects that we're working on, some mixes. So, we'll pick each other's brain about that. That's the cool thing about what we do is that we're able to bring a little portable rig on the road, and we can do other projects. And that kind of helps to keep your mind off of the show as well.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's exercise. I mean, anytime that I'm in a hotel room, I try to make use of the gym. Or even, and if there's no gym, at least go for a walk or something. Try to get as much fresh air as I can, be outside, because I know you could walk in that building and you can get sucked in there from, 8 a.m. until 11 p.m. and never see the light of day.
Yeah.
And, that's not healthy either. I think you have to keep your mind occupied on other things and try not to dwell on, the show itself, because it's going to happen at some point. And then it's going to be your turn to do your thing.
And that's even after it happens.
Well, that's when you need to be fresh too. You need to be firing on all cylinders.
That's right.
We're way more useful to people if we're not burnt out.
That is true. And that's a great thing to always consider. If you will be more useful and you'll be better for your artist or for your production if you're well rested, or if you're well fed, or that kind of stuff. But what you were saying about keeping, like, dwelling on things, it happens to me all the time, and I know it happens to you because we talk about it after a show, usually for hours sometimes.
Yeah.
Where the show ends, and maybe there wasn't anything bad that happened and nothing catastrophic, but there were maybe a couple of things that we didn't like, or maybe something wasn't sounding the way it's supposed to, or we weren't getting the proper, level on it. And why did it change when it was okay on line check or whatever? Like, we start analyzing things, and we'll go to bed thinking about them. And we'll, like, my mind, at least when I try to, I have a hard time going to sleep early. So I'm usually a 3 a.m. kind of guy going to bed, but my mind is just going. And even if I lay down to sleep, my mind is going about everything that went down that day or that night or that show, and that's, that won't let you rest, because one thing is sleeping, one thing, and something else is resting,
Yes.
And then we wake up and we're like, listen to the live tracks that we just recorded. And I've seen you do that. And I know I've done it, where when we wake up, all of a sudden the other person's already there analyzing and seeing where that happened. So was it really coming from there? Was it something else? Like, we don't let it go. And partially, I guess that's a good thing, because that makes us really good at what we do. We don't just shunt it aside and just say, whatever, it is what it is. We really want to get to the root of the issue and fix it. But at the same time, we need to learn, I guess, to allow ourselves to take that break,
Exactly. Because otherwise you'll sit there and dwell on it. And I know I'm guilty of that, because I will wake up. I'm the first one up on the bus, and I will get my computer out and open up the show from the night before, because there was some issue, like you say, and I will find it and listen to it and try to figure out what it was. If it was, if it was coming to me, if it was something that I did, or if it was just an anomaly.
Yeah.
And like you say, at some point you just have to let it go, because you know what? That was yesterday. That show's over. And you know what? Those people probably didn't even hear what we heard.
That's true too.
I guarantee you they didn't hear what we heard. If there's like something that we had to search for in the recording because it bothered us.
Yeah.
But
that's true.
I mean, that's another, that's just another part of stressor you need to deal with, that you need to separate yourself from that. And at some point you have to realize, man, the audience is enjoying themselves. Maybe everything is fine. What am I worried about? So what that the snare drum doesn't sound exactly like I think it should sound. I'm going to ask that person next to the barricade, is the snare drum okay for you? They'll be like, it's great.
They were like, snare what?
Yes. Enrique's great. Yes. Whatever. But all those things that are constantly bombarding your mind, for that 2 hours when you're mixing.
Well, and then you got, like I said, I never like to forget mentioning, we're, from our perspective, even though we're still discussing how stressful our job could be, but I don't want to take away the value of the people putting it all together, like, the ones who go in like at 5, 6 in the morning, and the riggers and everybody flying the PA, that their days are obviously longer and also full of stress and no sleep and that kind of stuff. And I think it's important
it's everybody
to learn from that. It's everybody on the road,
everybody on the tour.
Correct. Everybody on the road, on touring, on all departments, they all have a level of commitment to their job, which will cause some form of stress or some form of discomfort, or and if you don't sleep, then your immune system goes down, and like all these things start happening. Then you start getting sick, or like, it's not, like you said, it's not all butterflies and unicorns. It's not terrible, but it's not. We have to work extra hard at trying to stay healthy, not just mentally but physically. For me, it's hard. As I'm always dealing with the whole trying to eat better here, trying to always asking you, or we take walks. We always do that kind of stuff. We always walk to a Thai place to find some good Thai food. Of course we do. But it's one of those things that we can only do what we can and with the time that we have. But it is something that is important to keep track of. I don't know, drink a lot of water, all those little things. Try to keep your mind, when necessary, clear, without all the noise, to stay fresh. Also, for us to be able to do a show.
Look for the good bits on catering.
Look for the good bits on catering, because it's not always the healthiest. So there's always something you can find, and if not, then just order something, whatever. But try your best to stay healthy. It's not easy. Trust me. I struggle with that all the time. But
you know what my favorite? My wife just mentioned something. My favorite part of the day is one of them.
Catering, going to
prison style showers.
Oh yeah, I know.
I love the prison.
That.
See,
I hate it.
It doesn't bother me, because I'll go in there and start singing, and you got the whole place to yourself. Turn on all the shower heads
and just walk through them. I'm just singing in the rain.
Walk around the room. Whatever.
Yeah, no, I that's one thing. Yeah, I mean, don't take me wrong. I love working, I love touring and stuff, but yeah, I'm using bathrooms and arenas is not my cup of tea. But
that's stressful to you.
For me, yeah, but that might seem like very petty to others, but for me, that's a cause of a little bit of stress, I guess. It's not something that I like, and I don't think many people like it though. Let's just see if anybody has any comments or questions. I know that was one of them. See, hello everybody here, Kevin. He goes, David Mowry.
Yep.
I'm doing small shows and my heart and stress is amped up until the next day. Only one day a week. You guys are superheroes. Yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, there's some good adrenaline happening too when you do a show. That there's also a positive. Don't think that everything we're talking about is negative, but you do a show and you feel really good about it after. It's just the other stuff that we need to learn to control. We're trying to, which is the stuff we're mentioning. Sometimes dwelling on things that maybe won't matter so much, or just stressing about scheduling issues or whatever. But those are things that we just have to control on an individual basis. We have to do that ourselves. Realize that we have no control over certain things sometimes. We just gotta be okay with it, right?
Breathing,
yes.
Mindful breathing is a great way to try and calm the mind.
Yeah, I had a couple of moments where someone told me that, literally said, just take a deep breath.
Yeah, and that's
take a deep breath, and it helps.
Yeah, that's something that I started doing like halfway through the tour, because I was getting caught up in the line check and 10 minutes to show, and we're then I hear on the radio, we don't have any, there's no guys running the spotlights, or we lost communication to whatever. You hear everybody's problem on the radio. And I'm looking at my watch going, oh, I got to start the walk-in music in like 2 minutes. And I'll just sit there and stare at the stage and just breathe and just take deep breaths and let it out and try to, as I exhale, try to let all the noise go that I'm hearing on the radio. And it seemed to kind of work, because when the show would start, I would feel fresh again, because I kind of got myself in this, almost in a Zen-like kind of state where I'm relaxed.
You have to get in that mode. You have to get in that mode, right?
I'm not on the radio screaming about something doesn't work. I'm just trying to calm myself. It's not always easy to do either, because you're taking on it, because the show is a combination of everybody.
Of course.
And if one part fails, then the show doesn't happen. And so
that's true.
You're just in the back of your mind hoping, okay, everything's going to be fine and they'll get up and running and we'll have a show. In the meantime, I'm going to sit here and breathe. I'm going to do my best.
Is that usually
I'm going to do my best Rick Rubin. I'm just going to sit here. Zen. I'm just listening. I'm always listening.
Your beard is not long enough. You trimmed it.
I had to trim it. Yeah. Wake up in the morning and it was stuck to the side of my face.
See, I liked it when it was longer.
Yeah, but it'll grow again.
Oh, but don't stop cutting it, though.
Yeah, but I told you.
I know. It's like you wake up like this. So what is I know you mentioned something that you do kind of like right before you start. Is that usually your routine or your
well, it's either that or
you do right before?
It's either that or take a nap on the bus. While the support act is on.
No. I know, that's true.
No, but that started to be my routine, because there were times before I started that I would just be getting all wigged out listening to everybody else, or somebody at front of house is screaming at somebody else because something's not happening right. And I'm just thinking, man, just shut up. Like, what's all the screaming about? And, I'd say the last month and a half, probably, because I started reading this book and I realized that I need to figure out a way to relax, because I'm the biggest stress ball there is. And I fly off at everything.
Really? I haven't noticed that.
You never noticed that, did you?
I never noticed that on you.
Right. So I started thinking about just taking those couple minutes to myself, because I have to sit there through the DJ or through whoever it is. And, before Enrique, I've got to be sitting in front of house. But until it's actually my turn, then I would start sometimes I'd close my eyes. Sometimes I would just stare at the stage and just breathe. And with every exhale, just try to let everything go. Because the minute Andreas calls me and says, roll the intro, that's when it all starts.
Yeah.
So.
And that's when your countdown stuff, which is one of the highlights of our show,
Exactly. The countdown.
What happens at the end? So can you give us the last few seconds of the countdown so people know what happens on the radio?
Okay. So we're playing the song. Yeah. And Andreas and Enrique want to know the time, how much time they got before the show is actually going to start. So I'm counting it down, and I started 1:30, and then it's 30 seconds. Then it's coming. 10 seconds.
And then what happens?
And then it's
after the 10 seconds, what do you say?
Actually, it's 10 seconds, and then I pause. Have a good show, everybody. Yeehaw! And then the Pro Tools
there you go.
And the show begins.
I love it.
So I have to be completely calm and relaxed for my performance.
For that yeehaw, yeah, I get it.
Because everyone's listening. I can't fail.
Oh yeah, you're in everybody's ears and on the radio. So yes.
Because if I do, you're going to let me know. Hey, that yeehaw, you cracked a little bit there, and I'm like, yeah.
I have told you there was no. You need to put a little more. Put a little more emotion in that yeehaw.
Yeah.
You know, that's important. You know, it's funny, all those little things too, they help us, it connects us all. You know, people start laughing about things. I know Enrique likes it when he hears it, and everybody in the band loves it. And like,
it's just
if it wasn't going to be there,
it's a light moment before the show starts.
Yeah.
After all the intenseness of everything leading up to that moment.
Yeah.
And then here's this redneck on the radio. 10 seconds. Have a good show, everybody. I don't even know where that came from.
I forget. But sometimes I even crank up my shout because you're coming to the shout into my in-ears. Sometimes I just crank it so anybody around us could hear it too. So they know the bliss that we get with you, with your yeehaw.
Uh-huh. And then halfway through the tour, somebody will walk through. Oh, you're the yeehaw guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
They'll start being recognized.
That's me. No autographs, no pictures.
No pictures, please. Just keep walking. Keep walking.
Nothing to see here. Just a yeehaw guy taking a prison-style shower.
I'm sure they recognize you in the shower. You got a truck driver showering with you. Like, are you the yeehaw guy? It's like, yeah, a little bit.
Can I borrow the soap?
I know. Here, what's up? What's going on, Kevin Allison? Dude, he's a good friend of mine. Amazing tech also, and that guy has got stories. I'm telling you, he worked with everybody and everybody. So, he says also things that you have to deal with on the road is foot fungus. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it.
Yeah, but there's a cure for that though.
Yeah.
You know what that is?
No.
You pee on your feet.
Oh, okay, really?
Yes.
That's another show. That's a different episode.
But that's the way you kill the fungus. Yes.
Really?
Yep.
Okay,
It's a real
I'll cure
thing.
your fungus. Just let me know. I'll cure your fungus. So
pee on your feet. Remember that, kid.
No. So let me ask you this.
I've never had a foot fungus. If that's your next question.
I'm not going to ask you that. No, it's not. That's not my next question. So how do you following up on what we've been talking about, which I think is just as important as talking about, mixing techniques. How different is it as far as your routine or things that you do on the road compared to when you're home?
When I'm at home, I'm a hot mess.
Yeah. Join the club. Aren't we all?
Well, I think we come to rely on that schedule. Even if it's not being followed. Exactly, which most times it's not. But you get that sheet and you know what's going to happen, and you know you're going to get picked up at this time, and catering is from whatever time to whatever time, and there's line check and sound check.
You don't have catering at home?
No, it's not quite the same. So your day is arranged for you. When I wake up in the morning, the minute my eyes pop open, my brain just starts to roll, and I'm thinking, what am I going to do today? Well, I could do this. I could do that. And then at some point I'm like, I don't want to do any of that, or I do get up and do something. So it takes me a little bit when I get home to get back into a normal routine of realizing that when I wake up in the morning, I can be leisurely about, working out, or I, get the coffee maker going, make breakfast, whatever. It's not, I have a little bit of structure to my day where I might know that, hey, we're going to make this for dinner, and we're going to go to the store after bed or whatever. Or I got to mow the grass. I got something to mix in the studio. It's not nearly as regimented. And I think
the key word that you said right now is, sorry to interrupt you, but I think it's important to say normal. What's normal though? You said going back to our normal thing. For me, normal is the other part of it. It's everything else. Sadly, sometimes being home is not normal. Sadly.
Oh, well, that's what I was meaning when I said sometimes it takes a long time to acclimate.
Absolutely. For us and for them.
For them as well, because what I think we fail to realize sometimes is that our wives and family have been in the home, taking care of it and taking care of everything for so long without us. And then we walk in, Neanderthal like, we come in, hey, I'm here to save the day. And meanwhile,
and
it's
they're
like,
looking at us like going like,
what are you talking about? We've been taking, everything's been fine for the last 2 months until you walked in the door. Maybe you need to just calm yourself down a little bit,
Stay in the room for a week and then ease your way in.
Right. So I think it's as stressful for them as it is for us, because sometimes I don't know how to walk in the door.
Yeah.
After I've been gone for so long.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept.
I'm excited to see them and they're excited to see me. But then it's like, okay, what are we going to do? It's like all of a sudden I'm thinking, oh, there's got to be something. We got to do something. Like, what's going on? And as opposed to be like,
and then you spend this whole time working at trying to get over this hump that you're discussing right now. And then as soon as you get over it and things are looking good now, all of a sudden it's like we leave again. You know what I mean? So right when we get over it and okay, now we're settled in, we leave the next day.
Right.
Just to start the whole process all over again. And it's not easy. Obviously, it's not easy for us, and it's not easy for our spouses and our kids and our family. It's a difficult thing to manage. It's again, I don't know if we're boring people talking about this stuff, but it's something that is real to us as professionals in the industry, and I'm sure is real to many people out there who do what we do. And it's not an easy thing to deal with. And that's part of the stress too, coming home. And even though that's your home base, you would think things will be, stress will be gone now. No, because you still have to work at it, right? And it's not easy.
No.
The way we've been gone and then coming back, it's not easy.
Exactly. And I think we forget about how they feel, how our family feels when we're gone. And maybe there's a point where they just, okay, dad's gone and we have to take care of things. And of course you're missed, but life goes on, and you do video chats and phone calls and, it's not that easy sometimes for both of us, So
no,
you got to eliminate the Neanderthal. You have to come, you have to come in gracefully.
Yeah, good luck with that. There's nothing graceful about me. I just walk in and start barking at everybody for no reason.
Why isn't your room clean?
Yeah. And they're like,
why are these shoes sitting here? Me, all the while you were on a bus where there was shoes in the whole bunk area for 8 weeks that every morning you got up, you tripped over. You never said anything about that.
Yeah, but I wanted to. I definitely wanted to. Let's see here. See if anybody else is making any comment. Alicia, your wife. There's gaff tape arrows all over the house now.
And only one of them really matter. Catering.
Yeah. Kitchen, catering.
That's the only sign I look for in the morning. Come on,
who's Todd Brandt? Todd Brandt. Huh?
Todd Brandt.
Yeehaw.
I think I mixed a couple tracks for him.
Yeah.
If my memory serves me correctly.
Yeah. So Kevin Allison was saying
Underground. It was a gig we played in Boca. I remember that. The Underground.
Oh yeah?
Yep. He says that's where the yeehaw comes from. It's quite possible.
Maybe.
I've been a hick for quite a few years. I just didn't all of a sudden acquire it.
So David Maurer loved the intro jam. And I forgot to mention that earlier. That's our good friend Jeff Subaru, who's the guitar player for Enrique, and he has his several projects. One of them is called Patrito, and that's the music that we're using from the song called Auto Water.
He's a damn fine
yeah,
guitar player.
He's a great guitar player. Great dude too. I'm playing tennis with
Yep.
him tomorrow, actually.
I hope he kicks your ass.
He probably will. Because I'm a racquetball player, dude. Racquetball, I'm good at, really good actually. Or that sounds really cocky, but I'm good at it. But tennis is a little bit different. So, we're gonna play tomorrow. You know, it's not like a Wii Nintendo thing. No, you got to play for real and get that ball over the net. It's a little bit different.
Yep.
But
so let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Do you have a ritual before the show?
Nothing too complicated, too special. I would say, after, double checking all the, you mean like a personal ritual? First I get all through, because first I get through, believe it or not, part of my ritual is to make sure batteries and all that stuff gets on whatever it needs to be on. I check and make sure they light up, all that stuff, right? And then I deliver them to Enrique or my artists or whoever and band members. And then once that's taken care of, and I know, okay, we got some time, and I'm gonna, right before the show, I would say, I like to be by, after we do a line check or whatever, right by the console, and kind of like, I like to reassess where everything is, even though I've been doing it for a long time with that same file, same format and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I like to kind of like obsessively, like Monk, kind of touch it and like almost like remember that show Monk?
Uh-huh.
Almost like as if I was to close my eyes, I can still do it all just with my eyes closed. I kind of like to kind of place my hands on there while we're waiting. This is right before you're going to roll the intro and do your yeehaw moment.
Right.
I'm just kind of like standing there, and drink a sip of water. And then once we're ready, I'm talking to the artist or Enrique or Gwen, whoever it is in this case. Make sure they're good. They can hear everything. Boom, boom, boom. And then that intro's rolling. And I'm just, that one moment for me is crucial, because if there's chaos happening right in that minute or 2 minutes before, it kind of throws everything off. That first song might be a little janky for me. So staying calm in that 2 minutes right before that intro, just like you, basically, just kind of observing, touching, putting my hands on the faders, going through my scenes, making sure everything's there, sort of a mental checklist of things, and then I go, okay. It's the last moment where it allows me to fix anything if anything's wrong, Yep. So that's important to me, to have that one moment of like serenity in a way of like, okay, we're about to start and everybody's taken care of. Everything's good. Now this is the moment where I'm going to get in the zone, Mm-hmm. I don't get in the zone an hour before or half hour before. It's literally right before we're about to start.
Yeah.
And to me, once we get going, it's that's the moment I've been waiting for. I look forward to that. Mixing, moving those faders, and not, because me, I'm not a set it and forget it kind of guy. So getting that done to me is pretty important. Being able to wait for that moment where I'm going to start mixing, crucial for me. And once we start, that's when it's not like a job at that point. Yeah, that's when you take a deep breath and everything's working. People around you who have worked all day to make sure all that's working for you, and they're around you, they're like checking on you, is everything cool? I'm like, everything's great. Everything's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's pretty important. And then the show ends, and usually, you make your way back by me or whatever, and I can see it in your face, and you can see mine. We're like, how was it? Like, you're like, oh my God, it's great, it was rocking, or this and that, or whatever. We get really excited about what we do, like kids, because the truth is, we truly love what we do.
Yeah.
Which is why, not to bore people with more stuff about the pandemic, but during the pandemic, for a lot of people like us, not being on the road doing what we love most, that kind of like, does something to you. And of course, being able to be back now and doing stuff is pretty good. It's pretty great, So yeah,
Yes,
we got to
sir.
embrace it.
Yep, exactly. No more questions.
No more. Nobody's asking anything.
I don't see any questions.
Wow, that's all right. What else? What else are you doing there, Bradley Dean? I know you've been working on some mixes and testing out that SSL thing.
Today I was working on trying to dial in my drum kit that I have upstairs, and I have to take my hat off to drum techs and drummers that in general, that people that can tune drums, because all I can tell you is that drum sounds like shit, or man, that drum sounds great. It sounds like a cardboard box, or it sounds like a nicely tuned drum.
And that's what you usually say on line checks.
Well, and I'm sitting there today, and I'm hitting the toms, right? And I'm, and I bought this drum bot and trying to figure out how to tune the toms. And I think it sounds pretty good, but then it's like, okay, the tom is ringing. So maybe I put some moon gel on it. And I'm like, yeah, but that kind of deadens it a little too much. But then there's a technique for tuning a drum to where you can either have it sustain longer or it can be a shorter sustain.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to educate myself about that, and trying to just be able to tune drums. It's the one thing that
I would really like to that.
Definitely is an art, because a guitar or bass, you put it on a tuner and tune it up, and away you go. There's different methods to tuning drums and different ways they can be tuned depending on how you want the drum to sound. I just want them to sound good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, but then you spend all the time doing that. And then when you start mixing, you put triggers on it, and then you.
Well, that's the thing, because a lot of times I'll record the drums in here and my first instinct will be, well, I can just throw a sample up underneath this and support it.
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking, I want to get really good drum sounds naturally, so that, it's almost like mixing, where sometimes you'll bring up a sound and you'll instantly think of a plug-in.
Yeah.
Instead of thinking about the source. Well, I'm kind of taking that approach with the drum. Instead of saying, oh, well, I can support that. The tom sounds pretty good. I'll support it with a sample and all as well. I want to be like, no, the tom sounds great. The sample's just going to make it sound a little bit better, maybe.
Yeah, if you're going to blend them or whatever, right?
Yeah. So, I've been working on that, and I actually been sitting in my studio trying to figure out what can I do in here to make it more comfortable to mix. I want faders. I want a surface. I want a console in my studio, but that's not really that practical. So.
You could use it to sum, I guess, if you're summing or.
Yeah. I mean, I think at the end of the day, I just like touching things. I got some outboard gear, and I always record stuff through the outboard gear.
Yeah.
Always. And then mix it in Pro Tools and use whatever plugins I need to use.
I have a Surface, as you see, the C24, but it's more of a remote, obviously, for the faders and Pro Tools. And I had a Dangerous 2-Buzz for summing.
Do you use it?
I stopped. No, because we're always traveling, and I'm mixing stuff. If I need to make revisions, I can't make the revisions if I'm away. So I stay in the box now. Everything I do is in the box.
Did you like the summing box when you used it?
I did, of course, I did, but it wasn't practical because let's say I start a mix here, or even if I finish the mix and then there was any revisions while I was away, my client will have to wait for me to come back.
Right. And it's not
practical.
And it's not like you're going to mix the track and then come home and then sum things. You want to mix into the summing bus.
Yes.
And see, I've been looking at the Rupert Neve summing bus, the Orbit, thinking, that could be kind of cool to have in here.
Yeah.
But then again, like you say, you take a mix on the road, but maybe you have two scenarios. You have your little travel rig. Maybe you use a combination of, the Slate mix bus stuff to do summing with.
I've been really into lately on my mixing template a lot. I have, all these groups, of course, that are going through it. And all my groups, I've been really happy with NLS.
Yeah.
Like a lot. I think it's cool.
It is cool because you can have different consoles as well.
You can have different consoles. I use the Mark Spike Stent one, and it's great. I just like that sound,
Yeah.
And I just, for the most part, stay on that one. But it works really well. I mean, it's at this point, I haven't even bothered A and Bing whether I'm using the Dangerous or not, because I know I'm not going to be able to use it. So I just creating a template that makes it work for everything I'm doing,
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what it's like if you compare the two. Compare the summing box to the plugins.
I wonder.
Because I'll use the Slate mix bus on my groups, and then I'll put the mix bus on the master. And I might choose the Neves for the groups, and then maybe the SSL on my mix bus.
That's cool.
To try and do that summing thing. I'll do that with drums and bass and stuff. Just to try, because there's something to be said about the whole analog summing thing that's really hard to achieve.
Yeah.
I was watching this interview with Michael Beinhorn today with Warren Hewitt. They were talking about the Soundgarden record, the Super Unknown, and they were talking about Spoon Man and how there's just something about, he tracked everything through Neve pre's and he mixed on an SSL desk, and everything was done to tape. He's like, there's really no substitute for that. Yeah, we have workarounds that's what we do now because that's the environment we're in. But that's, it's all about tape and analog gear.
Well, I'm gonna defer a little bit there because I don't miss tape myself. The sound of it, but not the practicality. That part
of course.
To me is like
it's not practical to have a 2-inch Studer machine in my room.
Like in that sense, I'm a little more practical or pragmatic, whatever the word will be. I don't mind not having to, cut tape and be able to edit things or be able to, not have to worry about what tracks you're going to put on the first channels, on the outer channels of the tape.
Right, exactly.
Like
can't put the click near the vocal track. The click might bleed through.
Correct. So all these things that I'm sure people are looking at me going, this guy is a jackass. No, but honestly, I'd rather not have to deal with that. To me, it was great during that time. But when I started my professional life, it was right at the end of that. I edited very little on 1/4 inch for voiceovers and things like that. And even then I hated it. And that's when Sound Tools came out, the first version of what Pro Tools would end up being later. And once I started editing voiceovers with that, I was like, why would I even attempt to do it the other way?
Yeah. See, whenever I was playing and we were making records, there was no Pro Tools.
Yeah.
Pro Tools came in after all that. So that's all I ever knew was console and outboard gear and tape and everybody in a room playing together and going for the bass and drums, and maybe we'll get some guitar with it if we're lucky.
I mean, I did get into the ADAT stuff. I got into ADATs. I worked in the studio, managed a studio that had 40 tracks of ADATs and even one that had DA88s, the Tascam DA88s. And with those, you can edit too. You have to offset the machines if you wanted to do some kind of edit. And it was tricky, but it was doable. But then be able to punch in so quickly digitally, punch in even syllables with no problem. It was that kind of stuff was like, okay, I don't need to have analog. I don't necessarily miss it that much. Sonically, yes, of course. And we're still chasing that today. People start throwing away or getting rid of all their analog gear. Now we're trying to get it all back.
And it's become a thing now, hybrid setups, especially live now.
Yeah.
Hybrid setups.
I'm actually blown away that Neve is making his way into live sound a lot.
Oh, man. Yes. but for good reason.
Oh, of course.
mean-
Absolutely.
It was just never practical before. Who's going to take who's going to take a sidecar 1073s on the road? Nobody. But I would be curious.
Green Day has, right? Green Day has a Neve console.
He had the Neve console out, the 5088, I think. Yep.
Yeah.
So it was all analog. And then, of course, he had all the UA stuff for effects and other things. So maybe your homework for the next Ninjas should be you need to compare your what is it? The D-Bus.
The Dangerous, 2 bus, yeah.
The 2 bus. Compare it to In the Box and see what the difference is. And maybe we can talk about it a little bit.
That'll be cool.
Maybe I'll get Rupert to send me the Orbit.
And what are you going to do? What is your homework going to be?
Well, I'll just come in like 10 minutes before the show and say, let's go.
As per usual.
Hey, I don't know.
My friend Kevin here is saying API is great. The plugin is as good as the rack mount for summing. Yeah. I mean, he actually had a API console. I don't know if you still do, Kevin, but yeah, his API is great too, and of course we use that a lot on plugins and stuff as well. But here's a question from David Mowry for you. Brad, do you tune your PA? What is your go-to song? I think that's on episode 4. But Moon Gel is an overpriced product. I find dollar store gel sticks work better, and they don't dent the sound as much. I use the drum dial on my kit. Also, gaff tape on the edge of the head works pretty good for ringing and getting the tone you're looking for. Why not ask Shannon? Okay.
Well, this is true.
So what is your tune? What is your tune?
My tune is Hey You by Pink Floyd.
That's right.
Is the first song. And then I go to
The Wall, right?
Yeah, well, they're all on the wall.
Well, I mean, but Another Brick, like the actual
Another
song?
Brick in the Wall, but it's actually the couple tracks before that with the helicopter, and I think it's what is it? I can't think of the track at the moment. But then I end up with Waiting for the Worms, because that just seems kind of appropriate because, the audience is going to come in and kind of a play on words, but it's all Pink Floyd for me. Sonically, I know those records, and not to mention when the PA is tuned properly, which, I play a small part in tuning the PA. I rely on the systems engineer to do the biggest part. And then I might come in and just fine tune it for myself once I put on some music. But I just find those.
That's more to taste though, right?
Exactly. It's more to taste. Yeah. I just know those records so well that I know what they should sound like. And so those are my go-to tracks. And then of course I'll run virtual sound check and I'll play some Enrique stuff because that's what's going to come through the PA later anyway. So that has to sound incredible in the system.
That's right. It better.
That would be the JBL VTX A12 for those of you who don't know.
So let's see. My friend Luis here is asking. He's saying
more videos of Eddie singing.
No, thank you.
Yeah, but you know how great that is. That's
it's a useful tool.
Huge.
Yeah.
And it's huge for you too, because you're singing at the microphone that Enrique's going to use, and you're on the in-ears, and you hear how the PA's reacting to what you're hearing in your ears. And it's a team effort.
I think it's a great tool for both of us. Absolutely. Like I think it's that's something that is difficult for me when I'm working with Gwen, because obviously I can't reach her notes, and I can't. There's only one song I think that is low enough that I can kind of sing the choruses a little bit or whatever.
I tried to make you sing some Gwen when I did that one show with you.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Come on, sing something.
I know, sing something. I'm like, I can't, dude. I can't.
Because I rely on that. That's like,
I know. Well, it's very useful for me as a monitor engineer. I almost, monitor engineers should, even if they're not singers, just go for it. I mean, if they sing, it's fine. But the act of singing while wearing the in-ears, while you're on stage or the runway, while the PA is on, it's the only way you can get, I would say 90% there, if not more, because the only variable at that point is really the audience, and then the fact that you're not the actual artist. But as far as
Yeah.
you hearing yourself with the mic and with their ear pack and with everything else, it's the closest thing, because I've used that. I could call it a tool to be able to do that. And of course it's fun, such an amazing band playing live, and here I am singing the hits or whatever.
Yeah.
Is a lot of people think that I do it for fun necessarily, but it's more to really check on the in-ear mix, check that that everything's jiving between PA and the in-ear monitor mix, and then also for you, that is helping you, that when I'm testing the mic, I'll check the runway, I'll check the side hangs or whatever.
Yeah.
And
You put
it
the
works.
mic up
It works
in
out
the
for both of
air,
us.
all that.
Put the mic up in the air. All these things that we check that are important, or
Yeah.
even walking down to where the front fields are, because he does that.
Yep.
So that helps us possibly EQ or turn some down or whatever, and avoid any issues during the show.
And that's all show level as well.
That's at show level. Yeah, and I always
'Cause
check with you. Are you at show level? You go yes. I'm
Yep.
like perfect.
Sometimes
or
I might.
yeah.
Sometimes I'm not quite
ahead.
at show level, but it's
I know
pretty
you
loud
lie to
still.
me sometimes.
No.
You liar.
Here's the thing though. In the empty room, I can throw my mix bus at one where I think is going to be show level, and then maybe at the end of I Like It or something, at the very end of the set, when it starts creeping up just a little bit,
Just a little push.
when I get a little excited and carried away, it's pretty much
Well, but
always
that's
at
the
show
idea.
level. You have to know
Yeah.
what's going to happen when Enrique comes out, because, and
Yeah.
also I know the difference between the frequency response of your voice in the microphone and his voice.
Correct.
So I can listen to you sing and go, okay, there's more mid-range in your voice, but not in Enrique. So I'm going to leave that section of the channel strip alone. I'm not going to EQ
You're
it
already
for
used to my voice.
I am used to your voice. Yes. Especially when you sing my
That's
name.
right.
I like that.
Bradley
song.
Dean, yeah. Bradley Dean.
There
People
it
like
is.
that.
Yep.
We get people go, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. The Bradley Dean song.
Yep.
But this is a very useful tool. I mean, it's the only way to get as close as possible to knowing what your artist is really doing, and it's a team effort for sure.
That's it.
So, Luis, maybe we'll have more videos for you, Luis.
Maybe. There probably are more videos somewhere.
There are. We just haven't released them.
Yeah.
I keep those hidden.
Okay. So here's what I think for next time, because we're a little over an hour now.
We are. Okay.
For next time, we need to have people we need some ideas of what you would like to hear us talk about.
Yeah.
Give us some
hit us up.
suggestions, because it'll be probably another month until we do another one, but we need those suggestions of things that we can
let us
talk
know what
about.
you're interested. Let us know what you're interested in of us talking about.
It could be a recipe for pad
Thai
capral.
food. Pad krapao. We should put that. I know we spoke about that before. We should put that up at some point.
We should just put it up. Just put
We
it
should,
up.
right?
Yeah,
Why
because
not, right?
it'll blow up the internet.
Yeah, but my version has onions. Yours doesn't have onions.
Well, yeah, don't get any onions near my plate.
You got to put onions. See what I'm saying? You got to put some
I lose
onions.
my mind. All right, then.
All right, then. Well, it's been great. Bradley Dean, it's always good to see you. Thank you, everybody, for hanging with us. Of course, this will be available still on Facebook, and then in our YouTube channel, Sonic Ninjas. And I don't know why yet. And in fact, I'm going to check right now one more time live, since we're doing this right now. Because we should have our podcast already. I mean, these episodes will be showing up as podcasts on Spotify or on whatever other podcast format you like to use. But I don't see it yet. And it should have been there already. So
Did you do it right?
probably not. Actually, I did speak to the people in support. They say, yeah, it's supposed to be there. I was like, well, it's not.
Well, I
We'll
do
see.
have faith in you.
Thank you, buddy. I just know you.
I just know you're going to
Say it.
fail.
I know. Thank you. Thank you.
I do have
Appreciate
faith
that.
in you, Eddie. I just know
I
you
just
fail.
and
That's a
with
great
that,
movie.
that's a
And
great
what-
movie.
That's a great movie. Walk Hard,
I
the Dewey Cox story. I highly
it's
suggest
perfect.
you view that one.
Of course.
All right, then. Till next time.
Thank you guys so much. We'll see you soon.
Adios.
Bye bye.